Peter, we spoke before about Russia, and as someone who's all over technology, Russia's always been a player in technology, but they don't seem to get recognized, I don't think. But they're always innovating things. Why do you think Russia never gets recognized for that?
Yeah, Russia feels like a bit of a black hole where it's like the Iron Curtain is still there.
Yeah.
You know, so when it comes to media dissemination and sort of news coming out, we don't hear any of it in the Western world.
Because as far as technology goes,
the media outlets don't want to cover it, right? So because why would you want to cover potential enemy of the state as well? So all the major media outlets are technically sort of always sort of getting that overlay through politics and sort of US security.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what China's doing, right? But the difference with the US is they bombard you with so much information that you don't know what to believe, as opposed to China where they just censor out things that they don't want you to see. But the information is like, always, it's like pretty much all pretty true, right? Except the ones that are missing.
I hear that that RT, the news channel Russia Today, was it?
Yeah. RT is probably the most popular one. Yeah, that's still making it out. The challenge is like, well, who wants to cover something that's coming out of Russia? It's not. It's like even their Yandex, for example, the Russian Google. You know, the innovations they've come up with, so with self-driving cars, with the advancements they've done, and natural language processing and image recognition. Like Yandex probably has the best sort of computer vision image recognition search engine, because you can upload a photo of someone and they can find that person's name.
Yeah.
So best being from a functional perspective, probably not from the privacy perspective.
I wonder if that was KGB things.
Maybe.
Yandex, that's pretty impressive stuff, but you never hear from it because it's dominated by the US media or sort of the Western media. What we see in our news sites.
No, I just think it's strange that they don't get recognized.
Just like today, China launched a Mars rover.
Yeah. Oh.
Right? So
they launched it.
They barely got much coverage unless Elon Musk tweeted.
Wait a minute, I think I got it because I read it from you.
Well, Elon Musk didn't cover it. If Elon Musk didn't cover it, a lot of people wouldn't have known. It would have just gone under the radar. Right. And a couple of days before that, the UAE launched their own space rockets as well.
United Arab Emirates.
Yeah. So no one's heard about it, right? And these things are happening in other countries, but we're pretty much like succumbing to mostly US media who mostly care about the United States, which is what people actually care about in their sort of country.
I think
therefore it's sort of creating the wrong incentives for coverage.
This is my. I don't know how we're going to fix this, but I think that one of the big problems with media is that it's capitalist in nature for us.
Yeah.
And you've got, firstly, it's very hard to create unbiased media. So you might as well just have media and you can set their bias on a scale and then decide, okay, I need to read from Breitbart and then I need to read from Fox. Oh no, Fox is on that side as well. But you gotta see, and to get a balanced viewpoint, it's hard. Like you gotta look at a few sources.
But it doesn't become profitable through education. It becomes profitable through clicks and watch time. So it's like
the Facebook algorithm.
Something that's happening in your local store, your news in America, right? So they'll definitely get clicks through that.
But I've got a clip here of.
You guys are part of the solution. So having these alternative media outlets through podcasts and being able to sort of individually cover things independently. More of that can go out there, more than challenge it.
That's actually true.
It's so important as part of that sort of solution as well.
But I found a clip here and it says China has launched a probe to Mars aiming to demonstrate its technological skill. And I was like, well, they're kind of the market leaders, so I don't think they need to demonstrate their technological skills because China makes everything pretty much.
Maybe not for long, but yes.
Yeah, except in space is probably like where they're still sort of developing their skill. AI, they're pretty much almost on par, if not superior, in some ways.
They also do SOCs. They're doing the SOCs now. They're doing their own processors now, and
They have to.
Yeah.
The US has pretty much banned them from having to use US chips.
Yeah.
So same with the operating system.
Yes.
Huawei has had to come up with their own operating system because they're banned. But they had these contingency plans all along, right? So they knew at some point the US isn't just going to roll over and let China become the dominant force in the world.
I think
so they knew that some of these supply chains and production lines had to be onshore.
Look, I think that they know that their time of being the world's hub of manufacturing is it's not sustainable in the long term, because you've got AI coming in that's going to wipe them off the face of the earth as far as competitiveness and economies of scale, and you've got high tech. I mean, high tech is the new frontier, so they're like scrambling to be in that position.
I think they've used a lot of automation in their manufacturing, hence why they're the market
it's
leader.
Kind of like how in India they were the first to develop robotic process automation, because they were the ones that were doing the grunt work, the process-related work, repetitive work in the first place. So
irony.
How to automate this work so it looks like I'm doing a lot more.
That's a whoopsie right there.
Right? You talk to any robotic process automation engineer, they're like, we're actually based in Bangalore. It's like, so same with China. So they've done a lot of the automation in the manufacturing because they have the know-how of the processes, because they were outsourced to do it there. Yeah. They can't even compete on the labor now, because on their labor, they're actually charging more than, say, Vietnam or, some of the other East Asian countries.
Weren't they lowering their yuan? They were devaluing their own currency to stay competitive for a while.
Yeah, digital yuan. So if you look at Chinese, the strategy is the Made in China 2025 strategy. Right. Which is sort of the expansion of the Belt and Road Initiative, essentially using loans to help create strategic interest.
Yes,
at the same time also
it's a bit sinister.
Their supply chains and making sure everything is eventually made in China, right? Because they can automate their manufacturing plants and develop the high tech to ensure everything is onshore and self-sufficient. Right. Then they have the 2030 AI strategy. That's to become the dominant force of AI, to have AI supremacy by 2030. And so they've got these strategies down pat, because they're not going to have a changing government anytime soon. So it's not like their policies are going to change, and they can just commit 1.3 billion people to the task every single day. So it's like,
wow.
Look, I want to talk more about that. Like that's a whole talk in itself. Because I was going to talk to you about the whole, the military and the aircraft carriers. But anyway, I just want to stay on track, because otherwise we're going to be here all night.
Yeah.
But, so you mentioned automation. I think we were gonna talk about some automation that automates at a very high level the interface between a human and an operating system, whereas initially, like up until very recently, or even until now, like I've got 2 sysadmins that run my servers, and when I need something done, I go through a human and I tell them, hey, I need to create a site. Can you create this site and do the let's encrypt and point the domain and all this? And they go off and do it. And they're charging me like almost $50 an hour. So there's now, are you saying that there's now on the horizon something that is can automate this?
Yeah, I mean, it's out now. It's so OpenAI, so it's the company that was started by none other than Elon Musk and Sam Altman, who is the founder of Y Combinator.
Is that the one he left as chairman? He had to get out
because
the trolley problem.
Tesla. So he's like, I think I got a conflict of interest, guys. And also,
the trolley problem
with the direction that OpenAI was going, which was actually to commercialize with Microsoft. You saw So Microsoft invested $1 billion into OpenAI. And OpenAI's mission is sort of to create open-sourced artificial general intelligence, right?
Well,
and
general.
Partner of Microsoft.
General. Okay, I know about the Elon Musk thing because it makes sense. Because if you've got the trolley problem, the classic trolley problem where the car is about to hit some pedestrians, and it has to decide: am I going to kill the pedestrians or am I going to veer off and possibly kill the driver? If Elon Musk is on the committee, and you have a Tesla that mows people down, they're going to look in the AI code and go, look, well, what have you done? Are you putting your Tesla customers ahead? So it was a whole complete conflict of interest, so he had to get out of there.
Yeah.
So, but apart from that...
There's that, and also, like let's be honest, those cases are pretty rare, right? And the lives
it's very rare.
Autonomous vehicles save is a lot more than those situations.
Oh, absolutely.
At the same time, at the moment, Tesla is essentially taking on all liability. So if it kills someone, it's Tesla's fault. There's no one else's sort of there's no fault. Is it the engineer? It's just going to be Tesla paying for it. Right?
I feel sorry.
So taking on the liability.
I feel completely sorry for for the people in law right now. Because I mean, what are they going to do? Are we've got human beings.
They don't understand the technology. They can only come up with hypotheticals and case studies. And look, those case studies are the ones they can talk about the most because they charge by the hour.
Well, I do recall I've played around with Google AI, mainly from the perspective of when you're uploading a YouTube thumbnail and you upload your photo and it can tell you just from that photo what's in it, if it's, advertiser safe and so forth. But yeah, Google AI, you upload a photo and it tells you,
tech companies,
it tells you what's in there.
So whether it's Google or Amazon or Microsoft or IBM even, you load in an image, they have some pretty good object recognition, image recognition.
Is that Google goggles?
They pretty much label everything that's in the image, and Google takes a step further. They can actually describe in a sentence what's in the image, like a girl riding a horse, or like a red pen, someone's drawing with a red pen. Like they can actually identify all those things and put it together into a sentence to describe. So
it is aware of what's going on in the picture.
Yeah, you upload an image. I was playing with it.
Natural language processing, along with image recognition, with the natural language generation, which is what OpenAI does really well. So the latest research paper that they released is called GPT-3. It's a sequel to GPT-2, which is another sequel to GPT-1, obviously. But GPT-3, it's essentially an AI text generator, right?
Cool. Yeah.
So if you think about what it can do, right? So what you described earlier was you have to rely on a couple of sysadmins with some instructions and then actually code it for you.
Yeah.
Well, so with OpenAI's API that uses that GPT-3 API, it can actually generate the entire code in Python, or in, say, if you're doing front end development, it can do a whole bunch of stuff. Right? So it pretty much brings out the code.
Wow. Roy is losing his shit right now. Twitter, he is so excited.
If you Google this person that's created this source called dbuild.co, DEBUILD.co.
Can you Google that, Simo? Dbuild.
Yeah, it's just dbuild.co, and you just search on Twitter. Right, he's got a few demos where he's actually used the API to create a simple layout user interface where you just type in the description of what you want coded, and it does it for you.
Wow. Yeah, Roy is just dying on the inside because he's like, that's his entire job.
Y Combinator, that because he had access to OpenAI through Sam Altman, he's developed this ebuild.co where if you sign up and get access, you can pretty much just do it on the fly. And so he's showing how to create the landing page of Google, for example, and everything just works. It looks exactly like Google.com.
Oh my gosh.
Or we can do something more sophisticated, like change the different icons, labels, and it's pretty much can do like React code for your front end.
Wow.
And it's pretty much like you can edit it in real time and it'll change the user interface in real time. So pretty much connect that to a voice to text, like you mentioned earlier. So integrate with your Siri or your Alexa or Google, and you pretty much just make it happen.
Wait. So you're saying that this is basically Star Trek now? It will be. I will just say like, computer, do this and then do that.
Pretty much.
And then it'll just do it.
Yeah. Well, we'll pretty much have that now with some of the home.
Look, we've got Google Home at home. We've got Google Home at home. It's firstly you have to just tell it one thing at a time so it doesn't flow. But I mean, look, I can't be too harsh on it. It's getting there. There were a few times I spoke to it, and I thought, it's never going to get this reference, and it did.
Did. Hello Google or hello Alexa.
Yeah, you go, hey Google, play this song, and I would mention a song. I think it was, hey Google, play "Come and Ride the Train," because my kids they go nuts for that song. Come and ride the train, and they got it. Because playing Come and Ride the Train by Something City DJs on YouTube Music, and it just starts, and I'm like, how did it know?
Yeah.
And it's getting trained by hundreds of millions of people around the world, right? Through either their searches or through their voice.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's just getting so
It'll
much
get better.
We're, as humans, I feel like the last job on the planet is the sort of human in the loop validation to train the machine learning algorithm.
We'll become trainers.
Just a bunch of Amazon Turks, mechanical Turks validating data. But at the same time, you think about what some of these self-driving cars companies are doing. That's essentially their approach.
Yes.
So, for example, Tesla with the autopilot, you disengage by changing, essentially what the autopilot should be doing.
Right.
And then the best person that's doing it right now is George Hotz at CommaAI.
Yeah, Comma.
So George Hotz is George Hotz is like the guy who jailbroke the iPhone. So
he just did it, just like
and he
that.
was like 17, wasn't he, when he did that?
I don't know, but I'm like, I had no idea that a normal car could do that. Apparently, a normal car has ABS controlled by the ECU brakes. The only thing that he didn't have was signals. He couldn't do one signal by itself. I think that was the only thing.
I've seen a few videos of that.
All the modern cars that have like cruise control, right? You pretty much can integrate with CommaAI. It's just a refurbished smartphone with a camera at the front, and then connects it to the power and the cruise control sort of connections. So it records it and it can control the steering wheel and the accelerator and the brakes. And so from the open sourced algorithm they've got, it's called OpenPilot. You can just download now on GitHub. You can just download it, and it's got like 5 or 6 forks on it. But basically, like all the ones, it's like 10,000 people or so training the data in real time right now, just disengaging when it's not doing the right thing. But it's using the state of the art machine learning, which is like reinforcement learning. Basically, the computer sees an image of the road, and it's like, well, it just asks the question, what would a human do? Right. Well, they turn left, turn right, stop, accelerate. Yeah. And so, that's
and all those
pretty much
edge
the
cases.
basics of reinforcement learning. It's, has that human actually done anything that's opposite or like different to what the machine is suggesting? Well, then you're doing it wrong.
How much of the world would you need to know in order to make an informed decision? Like if there's a ball bouncing, if there's a ball that bounces on the road, will they know that there's possibly a kid chasing after it?
Yeah. So that's the difference, right? Tesla would then label the ball, the kid, all the other sort of things, or it'll recognize those sort of objects, right? And sometimes it gets confused. That's why you have like these crashes on the roads, because the sunlight makes it look like a road instead of a white truck, right? So that's why you have crashes. But OpenAI, sort of CommaAI and OpenPilot, essentially just looks at that image, and for other images in the past where people have stopped, they've braked. So if something looks like a ball and a kid following it, then it'll break. So that's a sort of.
No, I mean, if it doesn't see the kid,
saying, "Oh, it's a kid, it's a ball." Well, therefore, balls usually lead to crashes.
Well, will it be smart enough if it just sees a ball, and then it knows that, like a human being would stop and go, "I wonder if a kid is chasing that ball."
Yeah. So the way reinforcement learning is like, with neural networks, there are a lot of these hidden layers. These hidden layers are essentially abstractions. These are the features that it detects. So the ball and the kid will be one of the examples in the sort of abstractions where it's seen in the past, and it will have a high confidence of breaking in those situations. So that's how
you'd have to train it.
Work. You wouldn't be able to explain exactly how, like what the weights are in each of those. Like exactly the decision point.
You would just have to throw 1,000 kids with 1,000 balls at him.
With Go players, the Go chess and things, and you had AlphaGo with DeepMind.
Yes.
So, Go chess champions, they just have a feeling that that's a strong move. Right? They don't think, 10,000
their
steps
intuition
ahead to go through what they're going to do. They essentially just have a feeling. And that's sort of it equates to with these deep neural networks. Like the hidden layers just have a feeling, a confidence of doing one thing versus another.
But that technology's there, like in all pretty much as a standard now in all the drones that get released, they have object sensors, and it's becoming a standard that they have 5-axis object sensors so they don't crash into things. And I think people go, oh yeah, but that's just for that. Well, you apply that technology to a car. Oh, wow, that's great. And you go, it already exists in almost every new drone that's out on the market.
Yes, but I think the main issue is that the drones only have to avoid, like, the stuff, they're in open space, but, driving in the inner city,
let me tell you, as a drone pilot,
lot
they're
more
not that accurate.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it'll probably just get confused and stop in some of the basic level 3 ones, and then you get to level 4 and 5, which will take a few more years.
They have level 3 already.
Last mile of error.
They have level 3 already. I thought they were only up to level 2.
Yeah, level 2 is probably the agreed level that most people have. So level 3 would be like, if you're in a Tesla autopilot and you just didn't have to pay attention, right? So you'd still pay attention for if it alerts you to pay attention, but you really don't have to pay attention. Right now, you still have to keep your hands on the wheel and look at the road. So that's level 2. Level 4 would be, you don't really need it it will never alert you to take charge. And level 5 is just like, you don't need the human in there.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's the sort of levels. And I think because of those last mile errors, those weird situations, there'll always be that 99.99%.
Yeah.
But as soon as it's 10 times better than a human accident rate, then that
how many
how
many people die on roads at the moment? Like tens of thousands.
Yeah, but the reason is because it's an emotional response. I think, wouldn't you say, Peter?
It's
like an emotional
people just
response
don't
causes
think.
accidents, whereas an automated system won't have an emotional response. It'll go stop or keep going.
Yeah, and that's why Tesla's like, we take on the liability when that happens if it actually kills someone.
Wow.
Now, look, I saw in a statistic that most of the reason is because humans just aren't paying attention. Like they got a kid at the back and they might have turned to placate their child and they look back and bang.
Yeah, but we have a tendency to overcorrecting ourselves.
I guess so. I mean, I don't know.
Whereas a robot, maybe not so much.
I mean, humans are pretty good drivers, right? Usually, if you think about generically, if you think of all humans, on average, we're pretty good drivers. It's just the edge cases, like the drunks and the people playing on their phones. Those are the ones that cause accidents.
Right.
So CommaAI will always be at the rate of a human average person using the current machine learning technique they're doing. Will always be on par with the human average driver that's using CommaAI.
Yeah, I think the AIs, they're not going to get tired. They're not going to get drunk. They're not going to get fatigued. They're not going to be distracted. I think that's what he's saying. Is that they will perform at the same level as we are at our best all the time.
Yes, and that eliminates the emotional response to.
You're right. You're right.
Overcorrected and
yes, because we can be flaky like that, our human beings.
Yeah, we all get tired, and
We'll rely on 10 cups of coffee.
Emotional response. So have you seen you remember that Boston Dynamics Spot Mini robot?
Yes.
Yeah, that's now out on sale for $74,000.
$70,000.
Oh my God, Peter!
Right? So
Peter,
everyone's got them now.
Black Mirror. Yeah.
You watch Unbox Therapy?
Yeah, he did it. He bought one.
Right? He's got one.
Lou Later bought one.
It does the object avoidance automatically. It's climbing upstairs. It's coming right at him. He's going around, with the remote control. Looks like a game, the monitor, and just like a proper drone, but on ground. And then you just feel the size of it. Watching that video, feels the sort of presence of the robot coming right at him. He's like, holy shit, this is the future, right? You always think about it on YouTube or movies and TV shows, people talking about it, but now it's real when they're actually in the same room. So we're looking to get that for the summit next year.
Okay.
At Singularity University of Australia. Yeah.
Well, I got to check that out, and that brings me up, as you were saying that, and as you were talking about the mechanical machine approaching Lou Later and how he's like, whoa, it reminded me of once a certain level of mastery, once the AIs have got a certain level of mastery of the physical space, I mean, it's scary. What like now we can laugh at them when they fall down. But then it could be a very, very short amount of time before they're running, jumping, and doing 50 backflips in the air and landing perfectly, right? And people are just going to be, their jaws are just going to be on the floor. Can you imagine? You've seen a dot matrix printer. You've seen the head going. That's punching the paper at exactly the right time to create letters.
Yep.
Can you imagine what a thing like that with a samurai sword could do if it needed to mow through an army?
Damage.
It won't matter what level you are, 10 Dan, 20 Dan, you're going to get mowed down.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and that's
So,
the
yeah.
thing that, it's like, I don't know, people are aware of what is like about to happen. It's like the elbow of the singularity is like boom.
Yeah,
You know?
that's why like no one sort of fears AGI right now, because they're like, you just hear about it in movies, and it's going to be, like by the time you see a robot on the street shooting up someone or cutting up someone, it's too late.
It's too
Like,
late.
It's like you don't have that sort of the time period to argue about things. With gene editing, we'd argue about it for ages.
CRISPR and all that.
CRISPR and all that, and in vitro,
IVF.
fertilization. We argued for ages before that was implemented. But this time it feels like the technology is just right at the doorstep. So, the ethical debates and all that, most of society don't give a shit, don't know about it, or don't care.